It's time to get creative with Cassie. Welcome to my paper studio. Today we're going to be making these pocket tag dangle things. I don't know what to call them yet. But what they are is it's just a little pocket that you make with a tag in it, and then there's a little peekaboo window and this cute little dangle. So there's one I've made. Here is another one. And then here's the third one I made. And I do plan on putting these in my Buy Me a Coffee shop. I'm going to have a set of the vintage ones, and then I'm going to have a set of shabby chic ones. And I have done some prep work for today. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to need 2 pieces of paper. The first one is going to be for your pocket, and it needs to be 6.5 inches wide by 4.5 inches deep. And then your second piece needs to be about 2 3/4 wide by 4.5 tall. Okay? The little piece is going to be our tag. I've gone ahead and backed this with some coffee dyed paper. And then what I'm going to do to get this ready is I'm just going to take my corner rounder here, and I'm going to use the medium setting, and I'm just going to round the bottom 2 corners. Okay? Now for the top, we're going to do something a little different. For the top, I'm going to bring in my envelope punch board, and I'm going to line it up. I don't know how well you can see this, but I'm going to line it up right in the center. So I'm only doing half of that punch. So we'll do half on that side, line it up right in the center again, and do half on that side, so that we kind of have like this little tab. So for right now, that's all we need to do with our tag, other than ink around it. And then later I will be stitching around all my tags. I've prepared several of these in advance, but I left one from start to finish for you guys. So I'm just using Vintage Photo to ink. Alright, so I've got this inked around, and I have the other tags prepared, so I have enough here for 7 of them, I think. There's going to be 4 of like the vintagey, grungy ones, and then there's going to be 3 of the shabby chic. So I've already got the other pieces prepared for that. So now for the pocket itself, like I said, it needs to be 6.5 wide by 4.5 tall. We're going to take it and put it on our scoreboard, and we're going to score along the long side first. So we're going to go in at 1.5 inches, and then we're going to go to 4.5 inches. Okay, then we're going to turn it on the short side, and if you have a directional paper, you want to make sure that you have it going the right way and you're scoring at the bottom of your paper. And we're going to score that one at 1/2 inch. Okay, so the long side we're scoring at 1.5 and 4.5, and at the bottom we're scoring at just 1/2 inch. Then you're all done with your scoreboard. You can put your scoreboard away. The next thing you're going to want to do is get yourself a template. And what I did for my template was I just took a 2-inch circle punch that I have, and punched through some cardstock, and I glued 3 of them together to make a template. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you saw me use this in the yo-yo video that I did. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it pretty center in between my 2 score lines that we did. And I want it about the same distance from the bottom as well. And then I'm just going to take my pencil and trace around it. And it doesn't have to be exactly perfect. Okay, so now we have a circle. And now I'm just going to cut this circle out. Some people find it easy to kind of cut in a crisscross first inside their circle, but I find it just easier to go around my circle like so. Now, you're asking, why don't you just use the circle punch to punch your hole? Well, it won't reach. Unless you have one of those fancy magnetized ones that you can put anywhere you want, it won't reach. Or if you have a set of nesting circle dies, you could also use that as well. And then you would be able to punch this out with your die instead of having to cut it out. But I'm just choosing to do it this way. I don't mind cutting the circle, and I don't do too bad of a job cutting circles, so. Alright, so that's what we have. Now I'm going to take my ink, and I'm using the Vintage Photo again, and I'm going to ink inside my circle, and then I'm going to ink across the top, and then I'm going to fold on the score lines and give those an ink real quick. Do this side. And then we're going to fold up our bottom, and we'll ink on that as well. Okay, so now that we have that part done, I have my other 6 already prepped and ready to go. So I'm going to add this to my pile, and now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to go at an angle up to there. So you're stopping where the score lines meet, and then we're just going to go a little bit above this score line right here, and I'm going to go at an angle, so a slight angle slightly above it. That way when we fold it up, if you can see there, I just kind of did a slight angle, and that way when we fold this in and then fold our flap up, it doesn't get in the way. So we're going to do that to all 7, and it don't take very long to do it, so I'll just do these on camera. It's a little repetitive, but hey, it is what it is. I did a lot of the stuff that takes a little bit longer, like the scoring and all the inking and stuff. I did all that off camera for you guys, so you didn't have to watch me do that over and over. I did see a lady on YouTube do this, and I thought they were super cute. And she got inspired by the recent release of Tim Holtz. I guess he has some pockets that are like this in one of his little kits that he released, but they have a notch right here, and she didn't want the notch. So she just kind of did the measurements and figured it out and did her own version on it. And she inspired me to make some of my own for the current journal I'm working on. And I'm like, oh, well, these are kind of cute. Other people might want them. And then I was like, oh, they'd be really cute and shabby chic too. So that's why I have decided to make a few sets of them. And I will link her video in the description box below. So if you guys want to go over and see how she did hers, you can do that as well. All right, we got 2 left. All right, so I went ahead and finished those last 2 off camera. So now the next thing we're going to need, and this is totally optional, you don't have to do it. She didn't do this part in her video, but I like to do it in mine. I took some acetate and I cut me some 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares. And the reason they're 2.5 by 2.5 is because my circle is 2 inches and I want it to overlap my circle a little bit. So what I'm going to do with these, so I'm just going to take Mr. Art Glitter Glue here, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the edges. You don't want to go overboard with the glue, otherwise it'll smoosh in and then you'll have glue in your window. And we don't want to see glue in our windows. So, just a little bit of glue along the edges like that. And then I line it up where it needs to be and just drop it down. And then I kind of push outwards. That way, if there is extra glue, it doesn't get in the way of the window. So now when you flip it over, you've got yourself a nice little window. I got a nice fingerprint on there. Let's see if we can get rid of that. All right. Then I'm going to set that one aside and we'll just go on to the next one. So I'll do a couple of these on camera and then I'll finish the rest and then come back so you guys don't have to sit here and watch it over and over. But I want to show you a few of them just so you can see my process of how I do it. Again, just line it up and drop it down. Hold in the middle and then kind of smoosh outwards. If you do get glue on your finger from smooshing it outwards, wipe the glue off your finger before you go back. Okay, so there's that one. We're having storms here tonight. It was really, really hot and humid all day today, and now we're getting some storms. I guess we're supposed to have some high winds and some hail and stuff. So if you hear the rumbly thunder, that's why we're getting some storms. All right, so there's that one. So I will go ahead and finish these other 4 off camera, and then I will be back for the next step. Okay, so I've gone ahead and put the acetate in all of the windows. And the next step we want to do is we want to set these aside to dry for a little bit. And then the next step is get some pictures. And I just have some old black and white pictures here. Some of them I have printed out on photo paper myself. Others of them are actual vintage photographs. And then when we cut our 6.5 by 4.5 pieces of paper and our tags, we had some leftover scraps. So I took those scraps and punched a circle out of those. So you'll need 7 of those. Or, well, in my case, I need 7 because I'm making 7. And then I also took this heavy-duty cardstock and punched myself out some 2-inch circles in this. And this is what we're going to do. We're going to take the cardstock piece, get some glue on it, and then we're going to pick one of our pictures. And I'm just going to put this little lady on here. And then for the ladies, I would like to put them on my shabby chic ones. So I'm going to flip it over. And then, making sure I have it going the right direction, we're going to put that on there. We're going to try and line them up best we can. Give them a little smoosh around the edges. And if I get a little bit of glue on my picture, I'm not going to cry about it because we're going to distress these. So I'm going to set this aside to dry. And then we'll work on the next one. And I find doing these assembly style is great because you can make these in like any theme, you know, like I'm doing some shabby chic and I'm doing some vintage grunge. The vintage grunge ones are pretty neutral and you can just set those aside in your stash and then later on add a couple elements from whatever journal you're working on to decorate it a little bit. And then it'll fit right in with whatever project you're working on. So, this is kind of like a mass make, but okay, we'll let that one dry. Let's do the newlyweds. Flip it over. Alright, so I'm going to finish putting these circles together and then I'll be right back. Alright, so I've gone ahead and put all of these together and now we're going to do 2 things to them to finish them up. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take a little sanding disc, and the only thing I've done is I bought some Dollar Tree sanding paper and I used a hole punch or a circle punch to punch it out and put it on my dauber. Now, I don't recommend you doing that unless you have a backup circle punch of that specific size because it can dull your punch. So yeah, be warned if you want to do that. So now I'm just going to take this and I'm going to go around the edges like I would if I was inking. And just take off however much you want of your picture. So see, we've gone from something like this to that. And now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to run it back and forth on my picture and see how it's just picking up some of that and distressing it. So I'm satisfied with that one. Now we'll do the next one. That was a big boomer. I don't know if y'all heard that or not, but that was a big boomer. All right, so there's the edge of that one. Now, again, we'll just go in here. I don't want to really do too much on their faces, but I do want to make it look old and grungy. This does make a little bit of a mess too on your desk, but it's not fun unless we're making a mess, right? All right, so there's that one. And I will go ahead and finish these up off camera, and then I will be right back for the next step. Okay, so I've gone around and I have distressed the edges and the faces of all these pictures. And now, to give it that vintage look, I'm just going to go over it with the vintage photo. And so you go around it and then also on top of the picture. And that's just going to give it that dirty, worn look. So there's that one. I just love how these look. They're so fun. Sorry for the squeaky of my dauber, but nothing I can do to help that. Okay, last one here. The inking goes so much quicker than the actual like sanding and distressing of the picture. Okay, so there's that part. Now the next part, you're going to need your crocodile or your big bite, and we're going to go through here and just punch holes. And I try to keep the holes centered, and I like to put them above the people's heads. So when I was cutting my pictures, I left a little bit of extra room above the people's heads. That way I had room to punch my hole. So like the ones that I did that are couples, I left room in the middle of them so that I could do this as well. Right, this one might get in the guy's hat a little bit, but that's okay. All right, now also, while we're just punching holes, we're going to bring our pockets back in, and we're going to punch a hole somewhat central towards the top of each one of our pockets. And I have mine set at 1/2 inch. And then you're going to need 14 eyelets. And I have picked mine out already. I'm going to be using all gold because I just so happen to have gold eyelets, gold jump rings, and gold chain. And we need all 3 of those. Now some of these may not be perfectly central, and I'm okay with that because they're going to look cute anyway. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your 14 eyelets and you're just going to put them in your pictures and in your pockets. So I did one of the pictures. I'll do one pocket so you can see. So there's one pocket, there's one picture. So I'm going to go ahead, finish setting my eyelets, and I'll be back. And here we are with all 7 of our little pictures with their eyelets, and also all 7 of our pockets with their eyelets. So now we're going to need some other hardware. I have here in my little bin, I've got some little pieces of chain that I have 10 links of chain in. That's just what's approximately working for me. I've also got some jump rings, and then I've got some little beads here. So I've got my crocodile. We're done with that for now. Now we're going to want our needle nose pliers because we're going to start playing. So I'm going to take a jump ring and open it, and I'm going to put it on one of my pictures, and then I'm going to take a piece of chain and put it on there, close up my eyelet. Now I'm going to find the corresponding picture or the corresponding pocket that goes with what's on the back of my picture. So see, this matches this. So I'm going to grab that pocket. I'm going to grab another jump ring. Slip your chain on there, and then slip it onto your pocket. Okay, now what we're going to want to do, and I didn't get these out, shame on me. We're going to need some smaller jump rings now. So I just got these, I think I purchased this on Temu. It's just got different sizes of jump rings all in the same color. So we'll put some small ones out here. And we're going to take this and open it, and I'm just going to use these little black ones on the more vintage ones. And I'm just going to put 3 of these on the chain. Now I have some that are faceted and some that aren't, so I'm gonna make sure we've got the matching sets here. Okay, and then we need one more. You can add more or less beads. You can make bigger bead dangles if you want for these. This is just what I decided to do for mine. And I think that the lady that I watched do this didn't even put beads on hers. So that's what that looks like. And see, with the 10 links, my picture lines up almost perfect. So once you have that on there, you can go ahead and close your pocket. I like to fold the the wider one in first. And then run a bead of glue. And that was almost a catastrophe. Let me wipe a little bit of that off. And then a little bit of glue on the inside of the shorter flap. Close that up like so. And then a little bit of glue on our bottom flap here. And fold that up. And then I have a little bit that's off here on the back, so what you can do is just come in here and trim that off if that bothers you. And then I'm just going to give mine a re-ink. And then there is that. And then I'm going to find my corresponding tag, which just so happens to be this one. And that'll fit right in there like so. And it'll stick out just a little bit with the tab. And then I like to stitch. So if you see on this one, I've gone and I've done a zigzag stitch around my tag. And then I punched a hole and put some toppers on it. We'll be doing that to these as well. So anyway, this one can then go and set aside for now, and then we'll move on to the next one. So let's do one of these shabby chicy ones, just so you can kind of see how they're both gonna go here. So find your picture, find the matching pocket, grab yourself a piece of chain, 2 of the larger jump rings, 3 of your smaller jump rings, and then on this one I'm going to use these little pink beads, so I need 3 of those. So I'm going to use my pliers, and we're just going to repeat the same process. Put that on there. Attach your chain. Make sure those are completely shut. Sometimes you gotta wiggle them back and forth a little bit. Use our other large jump ring. Put it in the top of the chain. And then in the top of your pocket. Alright, now we're going to attach our beads. And the way I attach my beads, I like to put one on the link right above or right below our big jump ring. So there's one right at the top. And then I like to take the second one and put it on the link right above our bottom jump ring, so it's right at the bottom. And then the third one I just stick in the middle somewhere. Now you want it to be just a little bit above the middle, because you got to remember your bead is hanging down. So if you go a little bit past the middle towards the top, then your bead will look like it's more central. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold in our big flap, put some glue on the outside, little flap, put some glue on the inside, close those up, line them up better than our first one was. And you can glue these before you add your jump rings. It might be easier. I'll show you one like that, because that's how I did my first set, but I just figured it might be easier for some people to do their jump rings first. And then here is the start of a shabby chic one. Okay, so let's grab the next one. This is our married couple, and they get this pocket. So I'm going to glue this pocket first. Outside of the big one, inside on the small one, and then close it up. And see how much nicer that lines up that way? It's because you don't have that jump ring in the way. You do have your eyelet there still that's making a little bit of a bump, but you don't have the eyelet fight, or the jump ring fighting you. But it's still just as easy. So again, we'll do a piece of chain, 2 big jump rings, 3 little jump rings, and then on this one we're going to do these little white pearls. So then, same process. Open your jump ring, keep a hold of your jump ring, put your chain on, put it on your picture, make sure it's closed, grab your other jump ring, and see, it's just as easy to put your jump ring in here with your pocket closed. So again, I'm going to do the same thing with these beads. I'm going to put one right at the top in the link underneath the jump ring. Make sure that's closed. Then we'll go down and we'll put one at the bottom. And then we'll put this one towards the middle. Again, going just a tad higher than the middle. That way the bead kind of hangs in the middle. So there's that one. And see, this one hangs a little bit lower. So on this one, I must have put the circle just a little bit higher on my pocket than I did the other one. Because if you look, this one hangs almost perfect, and this one is a little bit lower. So, I mean, if I wanted to, I could go back in and take a link out of this chain and shorten it up and stuff, but I'm not worried about it lining up and being exactly perfect. So let's find their matching tags. We can stick that tag in there, and we can put this tag in there. See how cute these are already, and they're not even finished yet. They're so cute. I love them. So I'm going to finish putting these pockets together off camera, and then once I get them all together, we will come back and we will decorate a couple of them, and then we'll go from there. So I will be back in just a few. Okay, so I have attached all the chains and dangles to the proper pockets, and then I just picked out these two, and I went ahead and I did a zigzag stitch on the sewing machine around the tags, and I figured we would decorate these two up, and that way you could see one of the vintage and one of the shabby chic, and then, yeah, so I'm going to start with the vintage grunge manly one. And the first thing I want to do here is get my little slot punch out. And I'm going to punch a hole Might as well do that to the other tag while we're here. Okay. All right. So now let's pick something for our topper. I have this little box of goodies here, and I really like this wider stuff, so I just kind of fold it up to see how much I want, and then just do a little snip snip. Okay, and this stuff fits through the slot punch just perfect. And then I come in with my tiny attacher and just do a couple little staples, making sure that I flip it over and pound those down a little bit because I don't want anybody catching their fingers on that. So then I don't do anything else to the tag. I just leave the tag blank and put it in the pocket. That way, when this swings out of the way, you've got that design of the matching tag there. But for the pocket itself, pardon the reach, I've got some washi tapes, and I've got some of this heat resistant tape that they use for sublimation on like cups and stuff. I really like using that in my projects. So I'm just trying to find the end here. And we'll just cut a piece of this off and put it down. And then let's use this one to bring a little brightness to our page. And this stuff I'm just going to put across here like so. Wrap this around behind, and then let's do some of this. And I'm going to do the same thing, make it a little shorter, and then wrap that around. And then I have all these miscellaneous labels. They're just from different kits. Some of them, like these, I have made myself. These I've made myself. So I'm just going to pick something, a couple little smaller ones, because our project isn't that big. Okay, I've got a few small ones out. And we will see here. What shall we do? That one looks kind of good up there. I'm going to definitely ink it. So again, I'm using the Vintage Photo. And if you want to, you can put a little bit of cloth underneath this. You can put a little cheesecloth under it. I'm just kind of keeping them a little more on the simple side. And then I want to put this one down here, and I'm going to wrap it around to the back side. Okay, so we're just going to stick this down here, and then I'm going to wrap it around to the back. Okay, this one I might use as well. Just gonna trim it a little bit. Make it a little smaller. Give it some ink. And I think I just kind of want to add it here, like so. Or should we add it here? I kind of like it there. So I'm going to add it right here. And then again, just wrap this around to the back. More than likely, the back of this is not going to be seen. You can glue this down to your page and use it as a tuck spot. You can put it in a pocket. You can use it and put a paper clip on it into your journal. But there's one of the vintage ones. And now let's decorate this one. I'm going to do pretty much the same thing with this one. I've got some pretty pink ribbon here. But it's a thinner ribbon, so I want to add something else with it. So I have some of this velvet trim, and I think I'm just going to layer it like so. And we'll trim it up after we get it attached to the tag. So we'll just put this in there like so. Get our tiny attacher again that I put away. I want to make sure that you're able to see the layers. Okay, again, I'm going to make sure those are down. That way nobody gets poked or catches their finger on it. And then I'm going to take my scissors and angle the pink as well. And then I also want to take my lighter and just barely heat up the edge of this velvet. Otherwise, it's just going to keep fraying on us. All right, so we've got that. Put our little tag in our pocket. And see how pretty that is? Okay, and now I want to put some washi tape on here, but I'm also thinking maybe put some lace on it. So let's go ahead and stick some washi on here. And then let's see. I'm just going to stick another piece of this on. Just make it a little shorter. Okay. And then I do want to put some of the yellow on here. Get all my little scraps out of the way. I love using the yellow tape. It just gives it that vintage feel. Okay, we're just going to put this up the side. That went onto my window a little bit, but I'm not mad about that. Okay, so now with this, I do want to put some lace on it. Let me see here if I can find some. This is just some of my Dollar Tree lace that I can't find anymore. I'm so sad. I've gone to my Dollar Tree I don't know how many times looking for lace, and I cannot find it. I love the Dollar Tree lace. Okay, I'm just going to even up this end a little bit. And then I think I'm gonna just put this here, like so. Give that a little trim. If you want to, also, before you glue your pockets together and stuff, you can take this to your sewing machine and stitch around your circle. I am not very good at stitching in a circle, so I haven't done that. But if you're scared to do that, but you want some stitches there, this is what you can do. Give me 1 second. You can take like a black Sharpie marker, or I have a brown one or something, and you can just come in here and do your little faux stitches. You can make them as big as you want, as little as you want. Mine end up being all different sizes because I get impatient and then I realize I'm making them too big, and then I make them smaller. This is just a way to add another bit of interest to your page. It doesn't want to write over that yellow tape very well, but oh well. So there, you have a bit of faux stitching, and that is super cute. I love the shabby chic one. So again, here's just some examples of what we've done. I have these other ones here to finish up off camera, but you've seen the entire process. You don't need to see me do it, you know, 1,000 times. So anyway, I appreciate y'all being here and watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, share the video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I really do appreciate each and every one of you being here. And until next time, guys, remember to make today your own and be creative. I'll see you in the next one.